Anderson Robson Barbosa is from the city of Lorena, a city with almost 600,000 inhabitants located in Brazil. He also has family in Cambé, a city in the metropolitan region of Lorena. Anderson was 33 years old at the time of the event and was married to Manami Aramaki, who was 29 years old. The couple had a 3-year-old daughter named Lily Aramaki. Before we start this video, I would highly request you to subscribe to our channel and like this video to support us. This is samtv featuring Barbosa family case. Barbosa, the family lived in the city of Sakai, where there is a small Brazilian community in Osaka Prefecture 310 mi from the capital. Tokyo, Japan. Manami was Japanese and worked as an English teacher. Anderson, in turn, worked as a waiter in Lorena before moving to Japan. Anderson had lived in Japan for over 9 years with his wife, but they were experiencing some problems in their relationship and were in the process of divorcing. That was when in August 2022, a heinous crime took place. A crime that shocked the Brazilian community in Japan. In the early hours of August 24, 2022, the father of Manami Anderson's wife called the police saying that it had been days since he had been able to contact his daughter or his son-in-law. A police officer went to the scene early in the morning and found the front door of the family's apartment locked. He then called the firefighter, who broke the glass in the balcony window and entered the apartment through the bedroom. As soon as they entered the place, they came across 29-year-old Manami and 3-year-old Lily, both lying on their backs on the floor and already lifeless, according to Japanese authorities. Mother and daughter had punctures on their bodies, caused by a sharp object with a blade, possibly a knife. Later, after a search of the apartment, it was confirmed that the murder weapon was indeed a knife that was found at the scene. It was also found that they were attacked while having breakfast and had no chance of reacting. The apartment was locked and there were no signs of forced entry, indicating that whoever committed the crime had easy access to the place. Anderson Barbosa, husband and father of the victims, was not in the apartment. The police tried to locate him, but without success. Because of this, Anderson was considered the M suspect in the crime by Japanese authorities. Subsequently, the bodies were taken for an autopsy, which revealed that both victims died instantly. The autopsy also revealed that the crime had occurred between the afternoon of the 20th and the morning of the 21st of August. For the police, it was more likely that the crime occurred on the morning of August 21st, as the breakfast table was set with some food. According to the autopsy report, Manami had more than 10 perforations on her body that affected vital organs such as the heart and lungs. Furthermore, she also had marks of aggression on her face. Lily also had numerous puncture wounds on her body. It was more than clear that the perpetrator was ruthless and did not want anyone to escape with their lives. During investigations, the Japanese police discovered that on the morning of August 22nd, Anderson called his place of work saying that he had fallen off his bicycle and was going to a hospital in the afternoon. Of the same day, he called work once again, this time claiming that his injuries were serious and that he would need to take 2 weeks off. However, police had access to security camera footage from a store that showed Anderson walking normally without any apparent injuries. In other words, he hadn't had any bicycle accident, he just invented it, so he wouldn't have to go to work. The police also discovered that on the day of the crime, Anderson left the apartment with his wife's cell phone and began sending several messages to her mother, pretending to be her. In these messages, he told Manami's mother not to come to his apartment for a few days, as she would be very busy with the project, according to Japanese authorities. Anderson did this to buy time to prepare his escape from Japan. Anderson left Japan on the night of August 22nd, so when the bodies of his wife and daughter were found by police, he was no longer in the country. In a subsequent investigation, police discovered that he boarded a plane at Tokyo's Nitta International Airport bound for Brazil in September 2022. Anderson Barbosa was added to Interpol's wanted list at the time. Anderson was already in Brazil and had already hired a lawyer for his defense. This lawyer said that as soon as Anderson arrived at his apartment after work, he found his wife and daughter already dead, and that he only decided to flee Japan out of fear, as he believed he would be blamed for the crimes. In November 2022, Japanese police came to Brazil to discuss details of the investigations with Brazilian authorities. Anderson had not yet been arrested and was wanted by Interpol, the International Criminal Police Organization. At the time, the Brazilian Federal Police reported that Interpol was following the case and did not provide further details. At first, the lawyers responsible for Anderson's defense stated that he was not considered a fugitive. As there was no police investigation by the Brazilian Federal Police, the lawyers also stated that Anderson and his family were being harmed, persecuted, and threatened. Later, Anderson was also considered a fugitive in Brazil. This led to a request for international legal cooperation from the Japanese National Police Agency so that Brazilian authorities could take over the case. The arrest warrant issued in Japan against Anderson Barbosa was not valid in Brazil due to the country's laws, so the Brazilian police had to issue their own warrant during the search for Anderson. Brazilian authorities even asked the population for help in reporting the man if they found him, even though he was on the run. Anderson continued to access his social networks after the crime was revealed. Many people left angry messages on his Facebook profile, but he soon deleted these comments and deactivated the commenting function on his profile through social media. Anderson also spoke to Japanese journalists and responded to some he knew in a screenshot of a conversation that was released. He admitted that he took his wife's life but said he did it because she had taken their daughter's life. He said people were judging him without knowing the whole story. According to a report from a Japanese broadcaster called Fuji, Anderson was contacted for an interview and responded that he was in no condition to speak and reinforced that he had not taken his daughter's life, denying part of the accusations. However, friends of Manami Anderson's wife and victim gave another account in an interview. A friend said that she was thinking about getting divorced, that her husband didn't help take care of their daughter, and that they were fighting a lot. Anderson's friends who live in Pana and have known him for years said they were shocked when they found out about what happened in Japan. According to them, Anderson never demonstrated that he had a bad personality and was in disbelief that he was actually capable of committing the crime, but that if he did commit it, he should pay to justice during investigations here in Brazil. Brazilian authorities received information that Anderson was hiding in a family home in the Lorena region. Police teams then went to the address mentioned in the complaint. However, Anderson Barbosa was not there. The search for Anderson continued and extended for a long time, until on July 14, 2023, he was finally found and arrested. Anderson was going to a market in the company of another man when he was approached by the police in the city of São Paulo. Upon being arrested, Anderson told police officers that he was not running away and that he would report himself to authorities if he was summoned. The police discovered that he was hiding in an apartment he shared with the man who was with him and a friend in that same apartment. The federal police found several of the man's objects boxed throughout the rooms as if he was already prepared to move to another location if things went wrong, and Anderson's appearance was very different from the images of him that were released to the public during the investigations. Only he was arrested in the action. The other two people with whom he shared a house and who were supposedly hiding him were not arrested. According to police, Anderson met the woman he shared the apartment with while still living in Japan, and the two were currently boyfriends also. According to the police, this same woman, who is Brazilian but whose identity was not disclosed, was the only person who defended Anderson on social media after the crime was publicized. Practically the entire moment of the arrest was recorded and broadcast by Japanese media. The report shows federal police cars surrounding the vehicle where Anderson was. He then gets out of the car and is instructed by officers to put his hands behind his head and stand against a wall. He is then handcuffed and taken away by the police. In a later statement, Anderson criticized this police action, saying that they were brutal, pointing guns at everyone without the slightest need after being detained in São Paulo. Anderson was taken to Kira, where he was held in a provisional detention center to respond to criminal proceedings. He underwent a custody hearing on July 15th, and his arrest was maintained. Subsequently, the public prosecutor's office indicted him for his crimes committed in Japan. Soon after, Anderson's lawyer stated that he was presumed innocent until convicted, according to what was found by the Japanese authorities. The motivation for the crimes was because Manami wanted to end the relationship due to Anderson's violent behavior. Anderson feared that with the dissolution of his marriage, he would lose his visa to continue residing in Japan, where he had already been for more than 9 years. The public prosecutor's office requested that the accused's preventive detention be maintained, considering the way he fled Japan and hid in Brazil. According to the court, the man's behavior showed a degree of risk to public order. The public prosecutor's office also asked that witnesses be heard as well as experts to produce all possible evidence during the process. Anderson's lawyers asked the court so that he could respond to his accusations in freedom, which was denied. Japanese authorities sent the entire investigation inquiry they had set up to the police in Brazil. This investigation included the chronological order of the facts, which stated how the crime probably occurred. According to him, on the morning of August 21, 2022, Manami and her daughter Lily were having breakfast until Anderson attacked his wife with a sharp weapon. The attack was very, very quick, and caught the woman by surprise, who barely had a chance to react, as Anderson did everything in front of her daughter. She became a witness to the crime. With that, Anderson decided that he needed to fix this and took his daughter's life too. From then on, Anderson began planning his escape from Japan, and then the next day he called work to say that he would not be working because of a bicycle accident he had suffered. He then took his wife's cell phone and sent me messages to her mother, pretending to be her and telling her that her mother-in-law should not go to the family's apartment as she would be working on a project in the next few days. Once that was done, Anderson started to pack his bags and then went by bicycle to Atuba Station, which is about 1 kilometer from the apartment where he lived. He left his bicycle outside the station and then took a train that passed through Namba Station in the city of Osaka, and then went to Narita International Airport in Tokyo, where he caught a flight to Brazil. Manami's cell phone, which Anderson used to send messages to her mother, was never found. The wake from Manami Aramaki and her daughter Lily took place at the end of August 2022. The farewell ceremony was attended by several friends and family members who are very angry at the end of the ceremony. The two are cremated, as is the custom of many Japanese people. Currently, Robson. Barbosa is in a prison in the state of Parana where he awaits his trial. I don't know if after the trial he will be extradited to Japan, since that's where he committed the crime. But what is known is that if convicted in Brazil, he could face more than 30 years. Anderson admits that he took the life of Manami, his wife, but says he did it because she took the life of his daughter Lily first. He vehemently denies that he did anything to his daughter and says he loved her very much. However, Japanese authorities say there is no evidence that Manami took her own daughter's life. But what about you? Do you believe Anderson's version, or is he lying? Leave your opinion here in the comments. Well folks, that was it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Best wishes, and I'll see you in the next video.